Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. It is Lynn. Today I want to talk about tarot, okay? But face video, all right? Yeah, you may have seen the title, okay? Totally clickbait, okay? Because I wanted to go over these things with you guys in a rom-com fashion, okay? This is satirical. I hope you knew that going in. But if you didn't, there's your FYI, okay? Okay. There's 10 things I hate about tarot. Can you guess them? I've got my trusty handy dandy notebook here. We're going to kind of work in some kind of weird chronological order with these. But just for my brain, I work in these kind of timeline fashions. So the number one is what you would expect. Learning tarot can be hard. Okay. Learning tarot it was so hard for me because I didn't know how to learn it, right? I had read a couple of books by this point and I was just like really wanting to play with the cards, not really learn about the cards. And I was doing it so methodically because the books, as they're great, okay, tarot books are good, but I just kept feeling like, okay, none of there's a lot of exercises and da, 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 but it was all the books that I read at that point, and some have gotten better over the years, okay, in the 10 years I've been reading tarot. But when I started in the beginning, so many of the, what we call tarot 101 books were set up card by card. The major arcana, then the minor arcana, then the court cards would have a section, and it was so laid out. Even my beloved Book of Thoth, for my Thoth deck, is laid out like this. Crowley had his own kind of like weird ass methodology for that as well, right, in that book. But so many of the books were like set up card by card, but it didn't teach you how to learn the cards. So you, coming into it blind, right, you pick up a book, it's laid out like that, and you're thinking, okay, the majors are first, they're the top dogs of the deck, and then the minor arcana, and you're like hoping that some kind of image pops up in your brain as to how that all works out. And then you get to the court cards and you're like, wait, I see a lot of the court cards in the major arcana, and I see like the pages have almost the same exact energy as the aces, and it's just confusing, right? And so you start feeling like you have to learn card by card, which can make it hard. It took me years, and finally I put the book down and go, I just want to play around. I just want to play on the cards. Like, I just want to shuffle the cards. Can any book just tell me to hey, stop reading this right now and just pick your deck up and play with it? No. Maybe they do now, but the beginning was so hard because I just kept taking copious notes. I was even dividing my notebook into how the books were laid out. I would start with the majors, write notes, write intuitive hits, write questions that would come up about the cards, like situations, which way are they facing, astrology, if that was the case, all that kind of stuff, like, are their names different in, versus all the traditions, right? Because Thoth was like like when you first pick up Thoth, but let's say you're used to Rider-Waite-Smith, it's kind of wonky because you got a lust card, you got them all kinds of in different directions, and so that's what I'm saying, Not to mention what Marseille has as a structure, right? You get to the pictorials of the minor arcana and you're like, So it really depends on where you start. I happen to start with the Rider-Waite-Smith. But when I fell in love with Thoth, it was because I genuinely thought that it was a study deck and I wanted that. And so I fell in love with that process of that. And then Marseille, I would even today say that I don't know hardly anything about Marseille. I could pick a deck up and go 9 of Swords, and then immediately think of the Rider-Waite 9 of Swords. But I also think about the Thoth. But I don't think of when it comes up, I'm like, it just looks like a lot of sticks, So it's like the design of the cards can sometimes confuse someone that didn't start out with that or start out with playing cards. Anyway, I'm talking about this for a long time. But I will say this about learning, okay? Learning it can be tricky because you have to find your way in to learning it. And you have to find, I wouldn't say the right book, but a book that is going to get you to play with your cards in a way that will make you learn it without even you knowing that you're going to learn it, you know? And it took, like I said, it took me years to realize that once I started playing with the cards, I got to know the cards. It was like, it became like a relationship. And once you know them forever. But I want to talk about books though, okay? But mostly books and guidebooks for your decks. All right, that's number 2. Guidebook shame. I think we've gotten a little bit better about this, okay? But there's still so much shame surrounding having a new deck or a deck, even if it's a deck you love and that you've been using for years, okay? And you still want to refer to the guidebook or need to refer to the guidebook. There's so many times I'm watching a tarot related content and they'll be shuffling the deck and they'll pull a card and then they'll talk for a few minutes about that card and then they'll pull the guidebook out because it's, let's say it's a niche deck or a new deck to them or something like that. They always seem to explain why they've gotten the guidebook out. Like somehow the YouTube goblins or the YouTube tarot goblins that live in all of the comment sections and that are watching their videos are going to say something asinine about them pulling out the guidebook. You know, I don't even know why we sometimes think that. I get it too sometimes. If I want to refer to a guidebook, I shouldn't have to justify that away. I shouldn't have to. What am I trying to say? I shouldn't have to feel some kind of shame because I want to read what the creator of the deck wrote about the card, you know? I'll give you an example of this that happened to me recently. I love the Forest of Enchantment tarot. Okay, it's like a little storybook tarot. It's an older Llewellyn, right? I love that deck because of the imagery is so good. I just love looking at it. Okay, it reminds me a little bit of Lord of the Rings and all this fairy tales and stories that I love, and I'm drawn into that world, right? But when I shuffle and pull a couple of cards and I'm like willy-nilly, I want to go to the book because the writer of the book, Lynette something, I think it's Lynette Waters. Anyway, y'all know the deck I'm talking about. The pit is so juicy. It's almost like the way they wrote the book was very prose and they really wanted you to feel the story vibe, you know, the storybook vibe. And I do read that book. And when I'm alone, okay, I don't feel any shame. But if I were to make a video about doing something with a tarot deck or, hey, let's pull some cards right now at the end of this video, something like that, everyone seems to have this kind of niggling about the shame about the guidebook. So I don't like that. I hate that about tarot. Let's get our guidebooks out. Let's erase the guidebook stigma. Okay. The next one is a doozy. The structure. All right. It has a structure. Sometimes I fucking hate that. Okay. Sometimes I want my tarot decks to treat me. Sometimes I want to treat a tarot deck like an oracle. You know, like every so often. Not all the time. Right? I like that it's set up in this kind of way. But sometimes I really hate it. I really hate the structure. Because I'll be shuffling. I'll be shuffling and spreading them, all right? And then I'm like, oh my God, now I've got to count out the major arcanas, and I got a court card, but that court card really makes me feel the same energy as this empress over here. Like this, you know, this queen and this empress seem to kind of, because I think of it elementally too sometimes, right? So I'm thinking this queen of water and this empress or this queen of fire, they seem to kind of balance each other out, so those need to get thrown out of the spread. Stuff like that, right? I guess I overthink it. But sometimes the structure just pisses me off. I'm like, can't y'all just like let's just erase y'all's names and the fact that these are major arcanas and these are minor arcanas, okay? And let's just, y'all are oracle cards today. So sometimes, I don't know, the structure kind of gets me. But that could be because of how I learned tarot. I learned it in this very, these are the big dogs, and these are the people dogs, and these are people dogs. These are the court cards, and the minor arcana is like, they're really about situations and stuff like that. And you're like, oh my God. So this is like, just sometimes I shuffle and spread a tarot deck, and I want the structure sometimes, right? I'm like, yeah, I want you to tell me what's major for this question I'm asking, and what's minor for this question that I'm asking, you know? Sometimes I just want them to, like, can you just act like oracle cards today? This one can be good and bad, all right? There are so many imaginative renditions of tarot now, okay? There are kitschy decks. Hell, I bought a Golden Girl tarot. I love that deck, okay? Because I actually think I love that show. Could name all the words of that show, okay? I grew up on that show. All the women in my family watch that show, okay? So I could, like, turn on an episode right now and just talk with them. Like, I can recite with them. And I think that the people that did the tarot deck did a really good job as to correlating the structure of tarot with the episodes of the show. Fantastic job, okay? Their Six of Wands, stellar, all right? If you know, you know. But anyway, so there's decks like that. There's Halloween-themed decks and witchy-themed decks, and there's so many. So many. You could have the Rider-Waite-Smith in any color. You could have it gold-plated, pink, just blue, rainbow. You could have it in the winter. You could have it in the summer, right? Just decorate the people that are in the Rider-Waite-Smith in different outfits. Make them all look kind of Santa Clausy and elf-like. It's like, shit. Whatever happened to the damn Rider-Waite-Smith and the Thoth? You know, the OTO, whatever. They may have done some cool stuff for occultism, okay? Let's just be real. But they're bitches, okay? They're fucking bitches, because we can't use they're not in public, the images of the Thoth aren't in public domain, like the Rider-Waite-Smith. You can do anything you want to with Rider-Waite-Smith now. You can't with Thoth yet, but, you know, one day, which is probably why when I make Thoth-related decks that are on Make Playing cards, they don't use any of the imagery of Thoth. I have to, like, take the images out and get down to the quintessence, okay? So, anyway, we don't have that. And then Marseille has a lot of renditions, but there's not a lot. I mean, there are, okay, because look what Patrick Valenza has done with Marseille-style decks. But there's only so much you can do with Marseille, because the pips have a certain look to them. They have to be structured the same way. The seven of coins in a Marseille deck has to look, to me, it has to look like a chariot. 4 discs on the bottom with a triangle 3 on the top. It has to kind of look like a chariot card for me. I don't know why, but if it's not Marseille. That's like my thought, right? So it has a certain look, and I don't know. Sometimes it's just like I'll get on Llewellyn, or I'll get on Rockpool, or one of the other damn publishing companies. Especially if one of y'all say, oh, something's having a sale, and I'm like, oh, I'll go see what's new, right? I go on and I sift through, and I'm like, God, while they're great, these renditions, okay, they're so imaginative, and God, I love the creativity behind them. I can be pissy. I can be pissy about that. I'm like, Jesus Christ. What are they doing to the Marseille or the Rider-Waite-Smith or this time? You know, like, just number 5. Okay. I hate this about tarot. I see it everywhere. Okay? It is ingrained so far into the cellular structure of my being that I could be at the damn grocery store and be like, that is the 3 of Cups. You know? Like, oh my God. I can hardly read fiction anymore. Okay? I can hardly read fiction. I love fiction. I love reading. I'm an avid reader, okay? But I can pick up a book, and it would be a fiction book. What am I reading right now? Clarice Lispector, right? You pick up a fiction book and you start thinking, oh my God, that's this. That's definitely this major arcana, or that's definitely this court card. You start analyzing everything through the lens of tarot. Okay? Every situation I'm in, every book that I read, some little cute something that my kids say, like everything seems to get filtered through a tarot lens, you know? And at the end of the day, I'm like, God, I need my life back. I need my life back. So, whatever. I fucking hate that sometimes. Like, I see this tarot structure everywhere. Ugh. Number 6 is like generalization. We always tell the newbies, the tarot newbies, the bad cards aren't really that bad. Okay? I hate that. Because let me tell you something. When the cards are bad, they're fucking bad. Okay? Sorry, hate to fucking break it to you. I have had some portents divined through the cards. That tower fucking card has wrecked my fucking life before. Okay? I'm not kidding you. I had a tower moment of epic proportions after getting a tower card, and then thought, okay, I can be open to the destruction. I can be one of those really cool superheroes that blows shit up and then walks away and don't look back, like don't look back at the explosion kind of a thing. I can be that cool person letting it all explode behind me. Okay, bitch, my tail, my ass got burned from that explosion, and I can't get the skin to grow back on that shit. So to all you tarot newbies out there, okay, I'm gonna give you a little PSA. The cards, the bad cards, aren't always bad. But when they're bad, they're fucking bad. Okay? That shit can lay down some laws for you and be warnings. Sometimes. Okay? Now, I'm not saying every time the Tower card comes up, every time Death comes up, every time the 9 or the 10 of Swords comes up, whatever. Okay? I actually think that the 8 of Swords is worse than the last two, but that's just my opinion. Maybe it was because of my life. But anyway, I'm just saying, when the bad cards come up, okay? No, it's not always given an omen of something. But by God, don't lock yourself away from the warnings. Don't lock yourself away from the warnings. Because that segues into the next thing. Okay? No matter how hard I have tried to make the tarot false, okay, it's always right. I hate that. I hate that. Okay? I will be doing something, okay? Or even worse, just playing. I just got a deck out. I'm like, oh, I haven't played with this in a while. I'll get it out. I'm feeling, I'm feeling, I just want to shuffle something. And then I pull a couple of cards, maybe even one. And I'm like, I'll just set it up here. I'll just set it up there, you know? By God, like I said before, shit comes true. And you're sitting there looking at the card like, you got some kind of magic. You got some kind of magic over me that I don't know. I don't understand. What did I do to deserve this? Why are you always right? Lie to me. Lie to me. The cards are always right. And sometimes it's the cards, man. The cards. Now here's one thing, okay, that a lot of the great tarot readers out there will tell you too, that there's always an answer. If you're laying down a question for tarot, even if you think that card doesn't have anything to do with the question, it fucking does, okay? It does. You just, like I said, it's got some kind of magic, and you're like, oh God. And maybe you don't realize it right then. It's like a hindsight kind of a thing. But you sit there and you literally stare at the card like, how did you do that? God. But that could be probably from the thing that I've said before. I see that shit everywhere. So every time a card comes up and I'm like, that doesn't really match the question. But then you kind of let it sit there, or you take a picture of it or something, and then you think about it a few days later and you're like, oh my God, how did it do that? But, like, again, we don't know if it's like some kind of weird self-fulfilling prophecy that the tarot does to us, like, because we have that card in our brain where we're fulfilling some kind of weird prophecy with it. But who knows? Okay, number 8. Storing your decks can be a fucking nightmare. Okay? Oh my God. I don't have like a bookcase for tarot. Okay? I have this, but that's for books. Right? Which is another obsession, right? And I've got a little witchy space with something that's got one cabinet in it. And I keep my most used decks in that cabinet. Shit's full to the fucking rim, all right? Then I've got a box right inside the laundry room storage room that I have, okay? I've got a little bitty box with my second to most used decks, right? Like the ones I want to reach for, but I don't need them in the cabinet, right? And then I've got another box deeper into the room, okay? That's what I call, and what our lovely Sylvain over at Sylvain's Deadly Sins has called the Purgatory box, right? There's decks in there that I love and will never get rid of, but they're just in purgatory. I don't reach for them, but I love them, you know? Something about the art or the way it's structured or da-da-da-da-da-da. Anyway, I've got a bigger box, right, of ones that I don't really care about. Like, I don't care what happens to them, right? I don't know. They're not really worth anything to sell, you know? So they just sit there, right? But when you don't have the room, figuring out how to store all this, it can be nightmarish, okay? Because you start thinking, damn, I'm not throwing this in the trash. I'm just not going to do it, you know? I'm not going to do it. I would rather send it to my thrift store, okay? But then, and some of those decks are like missing a card or two, like some of those old, thick oracle, like romantic angels, or like my mermaid spell deck, whatever the fuck. Like some of those are missing cards. So it's not even worth that. Not even really worth it to give it to somebody, because then you know they're always missing a card. I don't want to do that to nobody. I don't want to do that to anybody. You know? Like, I'd be pissed, okay? If I bought a deck thinking I'd hit some kind of weird mermaid spell deck gold in the Goodwill, and then I get home and I realize that I'm missing a card, I'd be fucking pissed. Because it's not like without, you know, maybe with a guidebook you kind of know, and you're like, I can't ever get a replacement card for this. This like way out of print, whatever. And it might have been cheaper for them to go on to Amazon and buy a $12 copy of the same deck that had all the cards, you know? So, I don't know. Storing them and figuring out where they all need to go and what your tarot deck limit is, because I kind of figured it out. I figured it out. Like, I haven't bought a deck in a long time, except my own, like, in terms of prototypes, and I can't even figure out where to keep all that. But it's like figuring out which ones need to go in the drawer, which ones need to go in my good box, but not in my drawer, and then ones need to go in purgatory. Do I sift them around? Do I do that? Oh, God. It can be a nightmare. It can be a nightmare. Fucking first world problems, okay? My tarot decks, the ones that, this is number 9, okay? Because we kind of jumped back to tarot itself, not really storing them. Number 9. My tarot decks seem to know me so well. I hate that. They are so personal. It's almost sneaky. It's almost like they stalk me. They stalk me. So number 9 is that I hate tarot for its ability to know me. It just knows. They can be surprisingly deceptive about how much it knows about me. It can be very sneaky. Tarot, for me, as a practice, as a divination practice, feels a lot like the Seven of Swords. I just find it so in-depth and personal on another level. A lot of my tarot decks, a lot of the ones that I reach for all the time, are like, they've become like life partners. Literal life partners for me. Like my thought. Shit's become a life partner. I'm involved. I'm involved with that deck. Yeah, sometimes I hate it. Sometimes it pisses me off. Sometimes it's giving me an answer I don't want to hear, but I've got to hear. Sometimes it's not giving me an answer at all. But it's just like I fight with it, and it's just like we've become an old married couple. And sometimes I fucking hate that. I'm like, you know what? I don't want you to know me. I don't want you to know me. I don't want you to pull my significator card when I need to hear my own name shouted back at me, okay? I don't need that. I need you to just lay there and be stupid. Just lay there and be stupid. And let me do some talking. No. 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 Because as I already said, the cards know. And there's some kind of weird, sneaky magic that the cards hold. Okay. In real rom-com fashion, we are getting to number 10. All right? I hope y'all still with me. All right? But number 10 is the iconic statement of how much I don't hate tarot. Not even a little bit. Not even at all. Okay, there was my 10. There was my 10, okay? To be honest, this was like satirical, watching the movie, okay? If you know, you know. And I was just thinking about this. And I was thinking about all the ways I hate on tarot. And I hate on it in my real practice, right? I just hate how much it knows me. I hate that it's always right. I hate that the bad cards can be fucking bad. And there's just so much I hate about tarot, but I don't hate it at all. Not even a little bit. I hate its big black combat boots, but I want it in my life forever. I hope this was fun. I hope you leave me some comments and tell me how funny this was, because I thought this was hilarious. But let me know some of yours. Let me know why you hate the tarot, but really why you're never going to hate it. Not even a little bit, not even at all. I hope you're having a magical day. Much love.